The crystalline walls of Emperor Zethkar's throne room hummed with barely contained energy as the massive Corvathian ruler leaned forward, his 6 eyes gleaming with cruel amusement. Below him, in the center of the vast chamber, stood a small, human boy, no more than 12 standard cycles old, flanked by the twisted wreckage of what had once been a diplomatic shuttle. "So," Zethkar's voice boomed through his translator, each word dripping with contempt, "the great Terran Federation sends me a child as their final negotiator. How quaint." The boy, Marcus Chen, stood perfectly still despite the overwhelming presence of the alien emperor. His dark eyes took in the assembled court of Corvathian nobles, their serpentine forms coiled around obsidian pedestals, all watching with predatory interest. Behind him, the twisted metal of his family's shuttle served as a grim reminder of how this meeting had begun, an accident that had claimed his parents, the real diplomats. "Emperor Zethkar," Marcus said, his voice steady despite his youth, "I come seeking terms for peace between our peoples." The Emperor's laughter was like grinding stone. "Peace? Child, your species has been a thorn in our expansion for too long. We have conquered 700 worlds, absorbed countless civilizations. Your little blue planet will be no different." Around the chamber, the noble court hissed their approval, their scaled forms shifting with anticipation. The Corvathian Empire had indeed swept across this sector of the galaxy like a plague, leaving behind only servitude or ashes. "However," Zethkar continued, his tone becoming mockingly generous, "I am feeling sporting today. In the depths of this palace lies the Nethrak, a creature so ferocious that even my greatest warriors dare not face it alone. It has killed dozens who tried to claim its den." The Emperor's eyes narrowed to gleaming slits. "You can have all my planet if you tame that predator?" He laughed, the sound echoing off the crystal walls. The entire court joined in, their alien, voices creating a chorus of derision. "When you fail, and you will fail, your world burns, but at least you'll die knowing you tried." Marcus stood silently for a long moment, his small hands clenched at his sides. Then, with a voice that carried far more weight than his years should have allowed, he spoke. "I accept your challenge, Emperor. But when I succeed, I want your word. Broadcast, across all Corvathian channels, that Earth and all human colonies will be left untouched, forever." Zethkar's laughter died in his throat. The audacity of this small creature was unexpected. "Very well, child. You have my word, though it matters little. You'll be dead within the hour." The descent into the palace depths was a journey through increasingly oppressive darkness. The Corvathian guards who escorted Marcus spoke in hushed tones about the Nethrak, a beast that had been captured from the death world of Morgul Prime, kept in the deepest dungeons as both prisoner and executioner. As they reached the final level, even the hardened guard stepped back. Before them lay a massive circular chamber, its walls scarred with claw marks that cut through solid stone. In the center, chained with quantum-locked restraints, was the Nethrak. The creature was nightmare-made flesh, 12 feet of corded muscle and razor-sharp spines, with eyes like molten gold and jaws that could crush titanium. It had been pacing the perimeter of its chains for years, wearing a groove in the stone floor. When it saw Marcus, it released a roar that shook dust from the ceiling. The guard sealed the chamber behind him, leaving Marcus alone with death, incarnate. But as the boy approached, something extraordinary happened. Instead of charging or roaring again, the Nethrak paused, its massive head tilted, nostrils flaring as it caught an unfamiliar scent. Marcus moved slowly, deliberately, his hands visible and empty. "Easy, friend," he whispered, his voice barely audible over the creature's breathing. "I know what they did to you." The Nethrak's eyes narrowed. but it didn't attack. Marcus continued forward until he was just beyond the reach of the creature's chains. Then he did something that would have seemed insane to any observer. He sat down, cross-legged on the cold stone, and began to speak. "They took you from your home, didn't they? Locked you up, used you to hurt people, made you into something you never wanted to be." The great beast's breathing slowed, those molten gold eyes fixed on Marcus with something approaching recognition. "I understand," the boy continued, his voice growing stronger. "They killed my parents. Probably killed your family, too. We're both prisoners here, aren't we?" What happened next would become legend throughout the galaxy. Marcus reached into his pocket and withdrew something small, a protein bar from his shuttle's emergency supplies. Human food designed for human metabolism, but the gesture was universal. He broke it in half and placed one piece on the ground, then ate the other half himself. The Nethrak watched every movement, its intelligent eyes processing this unprecedented act of sharing rather than domination. Slowly, impossibly, the creature moved forward and sniffed the offered food. Then, with surprising delicacy, it consumed the small morsel. For the first time in years, something had been freely given rather than taken. Marcus spent the next hour simply sitting with the creature, speaking softly about Earth, about blue skies and open fields, about his dog Rex, who used to wait for him after school. The Nethrak listened, its massive form gradually relaxing until it lay down beside the boy, close enough that Marcus could feel its warmth. When the guards finally opened the chamber, expecting to find scattered remains, they instead discovered Marcus asleep against the creature's flank, the Nethrak's massive head resting protectively over him. The scene that followed in the throne room was unlike anything in Corvathian history. Marcus walked in flanked not by guards, but by the Nethrak, which moved with calm dignity beside its new companion. The beast's chains had been unlocked, not broken, but opened with the codes that Marcus had somehow convinced it to reveal. Emperor Zethkar's 6 eyes widened in disbelief. Around the chamber, nobles hissed in terror and amazement. "Impossible," the Emperor breathed. "No one has ever—" "You said tame," Marcus interrupted, his young voice carrying new authority. "But taming implies breaking something wild. I didn't tame the Nethrak, Your Majesty. I befriended it. There's a difference humans understand that perhaps your people don't." The Emperor stared at the boy and the creature standing together. Not master and beast, but companions. In that moment, something shifted in Zethkar's ancient mind. A species that could turn enemies into friends, that could show compassion to the most fearsome predator in known space. "Your word, Emperor," Marcus said quietly. "Broadcast across all channels, Earth and human colonies are to remain untouched, forever." Zethkar looked at his assembled court, then at the impossible pair before him. Slowly, he nodded. "You have my word, human child, and perhaps it is time the Corvathian Empire learned new ways of expansion, ways that do not require conquest." As Marcus and the Nethrak left the palace together, the first joint Corvathian human research station was already being planned. The boy had not just saved his world, he had shown the galaxy that humanity's greatest strength was not in warfare or technology, but in their incomparable ability to find friendship in the most unlikely places. The stars themselves seemed brighter. That day, as if the universe itself approved of what compassion could accomplish where force had failed.